This cup is $100. Can you guess the prices of those 2 cups, Laura?
Spoiler, this one is 30-ish. It's on sale. This one is technically 46, but I will tell you, you can always get it for under like 30.
But is this cup worth more than both of those combined? Let's break that down. We're the PT assistants. My name is Ken. This is Laura. Let's dive right in.
Let's go. All right, guys, we are going to talk about how we feel if they were effective or not, first of all. So let's go ahead and start with the silicone ones. I thought they did pretty well at providing suction. However, though, on my end, like I felt like it was really hard to figure out how much suction I was giving, because each one, like, I don't know if they're just not broken in, but some of them are harder to press down than others. And so I'm like, how much pressure do I really need to give to get them to suction on?
Yeah, as the user, you can't tell how much you're pulling, which makes it very difficult. So if someone wants it with less pressure, I wasn't able to figure out, okay, let me squeeze it a little less prior for me putting on the skin. So using it was not as comfortable as the other 2 options that we have.
Yeah, and then like when you're putting it like on the skin, like you had to peel that whole sucker off to adjust the pressure. There was no adjusting the pressure once it was in spot. Like you couldn't just release a little bit, like it was all or nothing type of release.
However, as the patient, these probably felt the best. The reason why is I feel like they can contort to the skin. So we have a couple techniques that we're going to like slide the cup with some lotion, and I feel like it just got a better grip. It just felt better on the skin versus the hard plastic or our super expensive one over here.
Yeah, with the silicone, it definitely felt like using it with that technique too, that I wasn't fighting it as much, and the suction held a little bit better with the lotion. And it glided, like you said, over certain areas a little bit smoother. And but I do feel like sometimes like the pressure would adjust because not as much surface area was underneath it at times. Like if you're going over like a curve or something like that, like it would just kind of suck more in versus keeping it consistent. But that was like on my, as a clinician end. Now as a patient, we did it on my foot and that just hurt. Either way, yeah, it's very tender, which was great to see because of the fact that like the silicone, like he could not adjust the pressure to be comfortable at all to do that technique really on my foot.
So
like
whether it was too much or not enough, it was just hard to gauge it as, at least compared to the other ones.
Yeah. Going into the plastic cup with the pump, there you go. I was like,
trying to figure out what it's called.
Yeah, I'm like, well, gun, and I was like, it's not really a gun, but I liked that you could place multiples of these, and you have multiples of the same size if you want to place them. So like you can cut multiple areas at once. I thought they worked well with the lotion, gliding over, but like what we talked about, they don't contour too much to the skin. And I like the fact that you could see like the patient's reaction to like how they were reacting to it.
That's what I would bring up. So because these are see-through, you can see the skin, you can see the discoloration happening. Maybe you can tell if it's too much or not enough, kind of ask the patient how comfortable they are with it. Versus this cup, you can't see through it. So you have no idea how much you're pulling up if you're being consistent. With this, you have a little bit more consistency because you can pump it once or twice and then 1.5, I guess, and that's when it gets a little bit.
Or even halfy, yeah.
It just gets harder to exactly be able to replicate as much, but it's easier than these because those ones you can't tell at all
like
how much you're sucking up.
When I took these off your back, I was so surprised at like legit the red marks that came on those because I did not even think I was giving that much pressure when putting them on. To get the reaction out of your skin that I ended up getting. I was like, oh, okay. And that wasn't even full 5 minutes. Like we were kind of more of like, we were testing out how they felt more being on and just applying them ourselves.
I said, as the patient for these, I would say they're still comfortable. I would say they're probably not as comfortable as the silicone ones, but you're able to have more on. So you don't have to worry about, let me move it every once in a while like we do with those because you only have one size for the entire set.
Yeah, they do stack nicely into each other though.
Well, that's a huge positive. Versus these, you have 6 of each size, so you can do multiple spots, like the entire back if you'd like to at one time.
And then as a patient too, I thought the release of these were better than actually anything else.
I think
pulling these off just did not feel good. This, like, the release, like, didn't tug at my skin to come off at all, which felt just nice. It was just like a...
Yeah, these are a lot more comfortable to take off as well. You can just release the pressure versus trying to peel off or try to edge it. It's just not as easy as it is with this. More user-friendly.
And then I like the sizes too. Like, we were able to get into more smaller spots. Like the side of my ankle, which you were working, I felt like fit better in here, where this one you were kind of wiggling around and like you can kind of see the size difference a little bit. So like they're not massively different in size, but it was just enough to kind of throw certain areas. Like, I can't put it there. It's just not gonna contour to it.
Yeah.
So. And
finally, for our monstrosity of expensiveness cupping.
Per cup, yes, a cup.
So this one cup cost $100, which beats both of those combined times 2.
Well, kind of, yeah.
The benefits to this are the consistency. You can judge the pressure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 each time. It has red light therapy. It has a heating effect. And as far as user friendly, all you gotta do is place it, add a little bit of pressure, and you can just hit the button. What about you for user friendly?
User friendly on your own, like, I feel like it's good. There's certain areas I feel like it might be hard for you to apply because of where the buttons are, plus you adding the pressure at the same time. So like, I think it could be a little bit more cumbersome to try, where like this one, it has like an attachment where you can kind of place and then you hold and pump with one hand. So like the pump can be way out here. This one, I don't even think you could do on your own, like not on your back.
This also has a downfall. You can't see.
You can't.
So when I was trying to get Laura's ankle, getting the right angle for this to actually start sucking was kind of a hit or miss. I had to move it several times. So I feel like if it's the ankle or maybe the wrist areas that have more like bony structures, I guess, it's hard to get it right. I think when it comes to these, like, you have different sizes. You can have a small cup. You can have a small silicone one. With this one, it's a one size and hope that it fits most areas.
And it's a one area type use too. So like you're having to do one spot at a time. So like you'd have to like go here,
wait the 5-10 minutes,
go down,
do the next spot.
But what I will say, like, the consistency was great. Red light.
It's red light.
It's red light. There's theories on that. We'll dive into that maybe one podcast. But I did like the fact that you could adjust the suction and you knew exactly like what setting you were on, and you can change it while it was still on. So if like you were like, oh, I need to add a little bit more, that was possible, where like these ones, you can't do that. Like you have to take it off to add even more. Like it just doesn't really work. Other than, yeah, it's tiny. I felt like it was not worth the money. Like, it has a cool little air filter in there if you want to add essential oils. Like, we did not actually do this with the lotion because it says you can do it with oils, but we didn't want to do it with the lotion and mess it up because it was so expensive. It's heavy too. Like, that's the thing. Like,
we didn't use every function that this can do. So maybe if you do utilize it for, I think, the gua sha, for the red light, for the heat, if you're using all of those, then it might be more worth it. But just for the cupping alone, kind of what we used, I would say it's subpar compared to the other two.
I will say too, like, the one thing is like using it on yourself. Like, I feel like you end up like with gravity would end up tugging a little bit on like the top part of your skin because of just the weight. So like, it's heavy.
As the patient, I just felt like it was more pinching rather than pulling.
Yeah.
So it's just.
I didn't like the feeling.
It's more nitpicky. I think that if I had all 3 of these on, I'd probably prefer the silicone ones the most.
As the patient?
As the patient. But again, these are only one area at a time because you only have one size. Unless you buy 5 sets.
As a patient, I really didn't feel the difference between these two because I was just tender in general. So like these two felt pretty much the same when you were moving it where you didn't. I did feel like when you were moving it, this held its suction slightly better than this one in that little crevice areas. I'll check that one. That one, to me, can we restart it still?
That's pretty bad when you want when I think about that.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. Like maybe if it was $25, maybe, but like definitely
It just has so many more features. That's why it's so expensive.
But I didn't feel the heat at all. Did you? Like I had the heat on for you.
It lasts a while. It takes a while before you start feeling
Did it? Okay, maybe that was the reason why. But I like the benefits just to me didn't outweigh it. But when ranking, like as a clinician, like you're using them, you had to open up your own clinic. Which set are you going to buy? You can only pick out of these.
If I only had one set, I would probably go with these ones.
Yeah.
I think they're just more versatile. They're still comfortable. They're easier to take off. You can control and see the pressure on the inside still fairly well. And you have so many cups of the same size, so you can target an entire low back or entire neck and do that in one fell swoop versus having to take it off every 5-10 minutes and change the areas. I'm
with you on that. Like I definitely would pick the middle set too. It comes like what we talked about in the intro, 32 cups. So it gives you a wide diverse of how sizes you also want. Some of them are even, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's curved for certain areas to fit better. So like you can fit around curved areas, bony structures. So I like that aspect of it. I think, again, the benefit of seeing it outweighs pretty much any other downfall of that one. And any other benefit that could come for any of the other two. The ease of release makes it nice, comfortable. They hold, all of them, I will say, held their section actually very well when just static.
I agree.
We kind of were trying to pull them off of each other just to see if like anything would give, and they all seemed like they were like, nope. So overall, I think you get your best bang for the buck. I think there's more benefits clinician-wise of being able to see and adjust things. My second one would actually be the silicone set.
I agree.
And that thing I would even purchase if it was the last thing on earth.
True.
I'm not going to lie. That sounds so bad. I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to give the honest truth right here. Like it did its job.
Bad. I think,
the little guy did its job. I just don't think
it's worth it. If you're looking for a cupping set, if you're looking for the heat and the red light and everything, then maybe, again, we didn't use all the functions that it's capable of doing. So we might have to try to dive deeper into that. But if you're looking for a cupping set, this is my go-to. This is my second, and then this is my third.
I might have to match up with that from patient point of view and clinician point of view too.
Anyways, well, we do have a podcast covering cupping a little bit more in depth as well as going into the research of it. So look into the description down below. We'll have a link to our podcast.
And then don't forget to follow us on Instagram. You can find us at the PT Assistants, and just like what it shows up here in our YouTube video. I don't know if it's on my end or that end where it shows it, but it's one somewhere. Of those. Somewhere. So it matches exactly. But we'll talk to you guys later.
All right, take care.
Bye.